And the second point, that worship is irrelevant to non-Christians, that is a point that many churches hold, that this is an event for Christians only. And so what non-Christians think and what they believe really doesn't matter. So, this is God's people's time. The Bible teaches that there's one thing that is for God's people only. Who knows what it is? Communion. The Lord's Supper. Exactly. The Bible teaches that that is for God's people. And so we invite those who know Jesus to participate with us in communion. But we don't exclude them from anything else in the church. We don't exclude them from being a part of the worship and the Bible study time, the Sunday school hour, and so forth. But the assumption is that worship's irrelevant for non-Christians. And it goes well beyond the idea of the Lord's Supper. Here's what White said. Those who hold this assumption believe that since non-Christians would have neither the desire nor the ability to truly worship God, it is not important whether they connect with the service at all. It does not matter whether they are able to appreciate the music, understand the ritual, or benefit from the message. The unstated assumption is that worship is for us and not for them. So, that is, that's something that I've been guilty of, and even in planning worship, and I think many times we are when we come together as church. How many people understand our lingo? Non-Christian people who haven't been in church before or for any period of time, how well do they understand the things we're talking about? When we refer to just our bulletin, there's probably terms in the bulletin that they won't understand. We try to make it pretty plain. We've done it here in the order of service, but we still talk about different meetings, different groups within the church that are meeting and doing things, and they are referred to sometimes by initials or and we don't clarify it. They're referred to maybe by some terminology that doesn't really tell us who they are. Now, I like using terminology for the classes having their own names, that you identify with that Sunday school class. That's good. But the problem comes in when the non-believer is exposed to that and they don't know what we're talking about. I think what I'm trying to say is we have to be intentional about clarifying ourselves, particularly to those who would be outsiders or who would consider themselves outsiders. I spent a whole semester when I was in graduate school at NC State doing a study on outsider authors. There are so many authors who have written throughout the decades about feeling as though they're an outsider, whether it's because of race or religion or maybe their position in the family. And we read a number of books by a number of authors, and then before the end of the semester, we had to basically write our own outsider story, our own personal outsider story. And what I found is that many of us can relate to being an outsider in some circle, in some area. Maybe it's with the in-laws and that family. Maybe it's with a group of co-workers, or maybe it's with your own family. Maybe you feel like an outsider in some area. Maybe it's even within a group in the church. The sad truth is, it takes a lot of courage for a non-believer, for a true outsider to come into the church. And they need to be loved. They need to be shown that there are people who care. They need to have the opportunity to become an insider.